Welcome back to Little R&R. Join Russ Johns and Ronald Earl Wilsher as they discuss life, liberty, and all things extraordinary. They're untapped, uncensored, unabridged.
So Ronald Earl Wilsher is in the studio.
Good afternoon, evening, morning, whatever frame of mind you're in, MrRussJohns.com. How are you?
You posted the other day. I'm good. I'm very well. And today's a beautiful day. You know, every day I just have an attitude that every day is a beautiful day.
Amen.
Regardless of the weather. And you made a post the other day that made me laugh. Saturday has a morning?
Well, what's funny about that and kind of ironic is I don't have, every day is Saturday to me, and I don't use an alarm clock because I'm really just like always just out there, right?
Yeah.
So, but most people live their life based on a weekend. And I used to do that before I started doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But every day is Friday to me in this business, and I know to you is the same. So that's what we're trying to do is get other people so they can monetize their personality and be in that time warp with
Everybody has a story, and we just need to be able to dedicate some time to figure out how to deliver that story
to the world,
to each one of us.
Absolutely, and they're all unique.
And that's what we want to do with this podcast is help entertain, educate, inform, and produce results. It's something you can pick up, useful, and it's a stream of consciousness from a little R&R, right? Right?
Untapped, uncensored, and
unbiased.
Well, I don't know about that. And unabridged was
unabridged,
another. Yeah. But unbiased is, that's relative, like rich and skinny, I guess.
That's true. That is so true. Well, I'm okay with having my own opinion. So, hey, one of the things we wanted to follow up with, last episode we talked about why you need to be a speaker. Some of the things that you can do to become a speaker, get out in public, produce results, and we were going to talk about some of the things we wanted to explain or share with everybody.
Let's do a real quick review on becoming a speaker.
Absolutely.
Well, people always ask me, I do a lot of professional speaking, and people ask me all the time, how do you get all these speaking gigs? And I basically just look them in the eye and say, I tell people I'm a speaker. So I think you should go to all your online bios, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, wherever, and add keynote speaker. Or if you're not quite that confident yet, just put speaker on there.
Absolutely.
Because people are always looking for speakers. And so that's one thing you can do. You can also
share it in your newsletter that you've created.
Right. And you can create a one sheet. It's basically a speaker bio. Because I don't think there's, once you register your name as a .com, set you up a landing page, start you an email list, I don't think there's very much you can do that'll be more powerful to build your personal brand, to build your attraction power as becoming a speaker.
And I think it actually assists in the development of your confidence. Yeah, you can get really confident in your message because it forces you to actually evaluate what you're saying, why you're saying it, and really own the message.
And simplify it and define it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I'll give you a quick rush. You know my girlfriend, Catherine Crawford Wheat.
Yes.
The skinny blonde with curly hair.
Mm-hmm.
I told her, she has womansinsight.com when I met her a couple of years ago. That's what she was doing, and we're now, as we were talking earlier, she's trying to expand more of her personal brand. Instead of Woman's Insight, it's Catherine Crawford Wheat, CatherineCWheat.com.
Mm-hmm.
She has several. You hang around me
Catherine
and we'll do
spelled with a K.
Catherine spelled with a K. Anyway, I told her about a year ago, I said, Catherine, if you want to expand your audience, if you really want to build your credibility, you need to become a speaker. And she looked at me, Russ, and she looked me straight in the eye, and she said, not no, but hell no.
And that's the reaction most people have
Right.
about public speaking.
Right, but she's done about 20 or 25 speeches now. She's actually getting certified for MCE to do a networking class. It's amazing the transformation.
I want to talk about that on another episode.
Yeah, that'll
down the
be
road.
cool.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, the
feedback
review
on that.
is just build you, start telling people you're a speaker.
Yeah.
I mean, you can speak to 2 people or you can speak to 200 people.
It's still public speaking.
It's still public. Well, even if you're just me and you, we're public speaking. We're out in public, right?
Absolutely.
You know. So, secondly, do you a speaker sheet. You know, so when people go to russjohns.com, they see you're a speaker. They can look at your little bio.
Well, and I like the little icon that you added to your webpage, your
Yeah,
landing page.
ronaldwilsher.com. Book me to speak.
Yeah, book me to speak.
Yeah, because there's so many people out there that are looking for
I'm
speakers.
going to borrow that.
You can steal anything I have, Russ, no problem. Remember I told you there's no such thing as originality. It's all undetected plagiarism.
That's so true. That's so true.
So when you get all this set up and people look and say, oh, you're a speaker, that automatically elevates your expert status in their head.
Right.
And, I mean, it does so much for you. So what we're going to talk about today...
So one of the things as a follow-up from the speaking and the public speaking is once you start gaining traffic and you have your landing page set up and all of that, what you want to do is you want to get on Google, you want to set up Google alerts and, start tracking when people start searching for you.
Or when they mention your name or talk about you.
Exactly.
So let's define Google Alerts.
Talk about that a
You've
little
probably
bit.
heard of the little website, Russ, google.com.
Yeah.
It's not as popular as russjohns.com, I know, but
Or ronaldwilsher.com.
But what you do is you go there, and it's very easy to set up what's called an alert. And you can do it for instance, I have one set up on personal branding.
Do you have to buy 6 packs of alerts to get those?
They charge you per letter.
Per letter.
No, it's a free service.
Okay.
And what you do is set up your name, and you put it in quotation marks. So anytime somebody mentions your name, it'll send you the link where they talked about you. You can set up, let's say, Rusher and podcasting, right?
Right.
You can put podcasting tips or anything to do with podcasting, and when that appears in an article, it'll send you the link, email it to you, and what you can do is go and engage in that conversation.
So you know when to start having a conversation.
Well, it helps you. It gives you an opportunity to have a conversation. But let's go back to real quick. Once you set that Google alert, it's important to have a Google Plus account. This is Google's. A lot of people say it was Google's attempt to give us another Facebook. Well, I don't think that's true. I think it's basically they just want more of our information so they can charge more for their AdWords. But that's just
don't be a
personal
hater. Don't be a hater.
But I'm okay with that. I didn't say I didn't have. I wasn't okay with it, or I wouldn't use it. But the other thing is that you want to do is once you have a Google account. It allows you to. They're all hooked in with YouTube, Blogger, and Google Plus. So once you have a Google account, it makes a lot of those things easier to manage.
Yeah, and the point that we're talking about here is follow up on speakers, understanding what you actually are doing out in the Ethernet and on the web and in the public eye, and when people are starting to mention you, search for you, it allows you to create a dialogue, open up a conversation, and do a little more with what your presence is online.
Right, it allows you to expand it and manage it.
Manage it, yeah. And so the point is just go to Google Alerts, do a search on Google, and look. Start an account, get a Google Plus account.
Right.
You can keep it very, very simple.
Right. Just put your name at gmail.com. Now, we don't want to use that as your email unless Larry Page is paying you to promote Google. As we talked in another podcast, you want to do your name.com and use that as your email. But once you have a Gmail account, like I said, it allows you to manage your Google accounts better, Google Plus, Blogger, and YouTube.
Yeah. And I think that's a good thing to understand is, you can keep your just have a presence on Google Plus, just like you have on Facebook or Twitter or any platform that you like and enjoy. So it's all going to be there. Hey, we're going to take a brief pause to refresh ourselves and grab a drink of water, and we just wanted to have you enjoy this program, and don't go away. We're going to be right back.
See you shortly.
Hey everyone, it's Russ Johns here, and thank you so much for being with us on the podcast today. Ronald, Earl, Wilsher, and I will entertain, educate, and inform you about things you need to know as you're building your personal brand. Stay tuned and don't go away. Hey Ronald, Earl, Wilsher.
I still get Mr. R. I still have that little buzz in my ear. Is that okay?
That's okay.
Okay. Because I'm looking at you.
You look like you should have a buzz in your ear.
You mean that in a nice way, right?
In the very nicest way. Very nicest ways. I just realized here that there are several things that we can do. Anyway, so what's going on in your world today?
Well, I've been looking forward all week to coming to see RussJohns.com and do some more of these podcasts.
And I've been looking forward to publishing all these podcasts for RonaldEarlWilsher.com.
Well, you've been doing a good job, and if you'll notice, I've been one-plussing them and liking them, and I'm going to start sharing them in my weekly email, my Way Cool Friends list.
Well, what we need to do next is publish a few more, so let's get back to it and see what we can accomplish.
Let's do it.
Okay, we're back now, and we're getting some interesting stuff in the studio happening today.
It seems, Russ, we're close to some kind of religious organization or church.
Yes.
It sounds like bass and drums and some singing or something.
Yeah.
I kind of like it.
It's kind of inspirational.
Yeah. And it is, what's today?
Sunday.
Today is Sunday, so.
Yeah. We're recording this on a Sunday, so we'll have to, we'll discover how it turns out on the recording. And we're just going to continue to record and create this podcast and assist you in your pursuit of happiness and information as we go through the day.
Yeah, our whole goal on all these podcasts, number one, is for us to have some fun. You know, you only get one chance at today, but that's enough if you do it right.
Absolutely.
Secondly, we want to, Russ, as you have said, to help other people realize the power they have if they properly engage in the new media.
Absolutely. And just to recap, the first episode we covered, why we're going to do this podcast, and it's just a start. We just launched. And that's a critical idea that everybody has to take on. Just get started. Just do something in a forward motion.
Because basically, we're not pros here. We don't really know what the hell we're doing, right, Russ?
No.
Oh, was that my out loud voice? But the thing that is amazing, like you said, and powerful about this is our goal is as we go through this to improve, simplify, refine, and get better and better. Because as I was telling you earlier, we talked about this, Russ, you can correct something, you can't correct nothing.
Yeah.
So you have to start, and that's what we've done.
And I can't is not an option.
Right, because, and I want to talk about this too, about people that go out and do something.
Yeah.
I was talking to somebody the other day. I did a Branding for Humans class for a bunch of real estate agents, and I do a lot of those. Mm-hmm. And I said to the class, the only sad thing about what we're talking about today, this is really powerful information, but the sad thing, most of you people in this room are not going to do a damn thing with it.
No.
And I said, but, the good part of that is, for the few of you in here that will do something with it, you have no competition. You have no competition.
Because those that do excel past the ones that don't.
Right, and the ones that don't, they're sitting watching TV or, making excuses. And, of course, I've been there myself, but there's power in just getting started. I always say energy or action creates energy, not the other way around. Once you get going, then you start developing the energy, and it takes on a life of its own.
Don't you feel that you feel elevated when you accomplish something?
I feel elevated, but I'm a little different, Russ. I've never really been one, and we'll probably have to talk about this in a podcast sometime, but I've never been a big person on setting goals traditionally. I think it's important
in the traditional sense.
In the traditional sense. I think it's important to know what you want. Absolutely. You must decide what you want and get very clear on it.
Define that.
And define it. But I'm not a real person that says, man, if I don't, I got to do this, 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 and this today. And I got to do this, 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 and this by the week. And this is my monthly. And I've never been big on that. I'll give you a real quick example. As a lot of people know, I used to sell real estate. I sold new homes for a living.
Yeah.
I did it almost 10 years. And I was very fortunate to cash some really large checks. And I had my boss come out one time, and he looked at me. He goes, so, Ronnie, how many houses are you going to sell this weekend? And I looked him straight in the eye, and I said, I called him by name. I said, I'm going to sell as many as I can. But see, most people didn't realize, I think one of the things that made me successful in that industry is I always showed up. I was always there.
Yeah.
And I was always honest with people. So no matter what you're doing in life and your endeavor, if you show up on time and you're honest with people, you literally have 90% beat, because most people don't even do that. So I think during these podcasts as we develop, and we want to talk a lot more about the why, and we're going to give you a lot of hows, but
and I think it's absolutely critical. If you want us to talk about something specific or address a specific topic, just reach out. Twitter, Facebook, Google, on our websites. There's so many ways that you can track us down that there's no reason why we can't open a dialogue and start a conversation.
Absolutely. Russ at russjohns.com is one place I get a hold of you.
Yeah, and Ronald at ronaldwilsher.com.
That's one I used for 13 years.
Yeah. It's very simple, very concise.
It even sounds good coming off the tongue. Not quite as good as russjohns.com. I'm a little partial to that name. I told you because my dad and my brother's name was John. So that's one of the reasons. I don't know if I told you when I first met you that I started liking you, because you had a good name. So.
I thought it was my charming personality.
Well, that took over later, but
after I opened my mouth. And then the second thing that we really talked about in the next episode was the start an email list. Your list is absolutely how you measure and monitor your conversations. Who are you talking to? Why are you talking to? What is it the conversation is all about? And starting generating that dialogue is going to increase your revenue.
Well, and here's the thing, Russ, that I've learned, and I've always told people this. You could take away I've built an extremely lucrative business, as you have, based on my personality. And the way I've done it is through an email list. And I tell people, you could take away every single thing, every business asset that I own, but you say, Ronnie, you can keep one thing. What would you keep? I absolutely would keep my email list. If we mentioned this every podcast, it still couldn't be overstated, the importance of that. Because if you go back, and Russ, we were talking about Pat Flynn, smartpassiveincome.com, and Derek Halpern, trying to remember his, it's derekhalpern.com, but forget his website.
The name of his...
see if it was his name, right?
Yeah.
Well, I think he does have his name. But anyway, all these people, if you go back, Frank Kern, if you go to Armin Morin, all these people, and ask them, they built highly lucrative businesses on the internet. And if you were to ask them, if you had to go back and start your business over, what would you do differently? And to a person, every single one of them will say, I would have started my list earlier. So as we talk about, this is going to be a reoccurring theme on these podcasts, is the importance of that list, because it allows you to keep your name and face in front of people. It allows you to keep contact.
Yeah.
Right? And so...
Derek Halpern is Social Triggers.
Social Triggers, there you go. Yeah. Sorry, Derek. That's a really good email that I read and videos
Absolutely.
watch.
Seth Godin.
SethGodin.com is another good one.
Smart Passive Income.
Pat Flynn, that's a good one.
Pat Flynn. Derek Halpern, Social Triggers.
Right. Frank Kern, and I forget, he has several, but he's another guy.
I'm not familiar with Frank Kern.
Frank Kern is a really cool dude. He looks like Darryl Worley.
Yeah.
For all the women in the audience that know who Darryl Worley is in country music. But he's just, he's basically, what I remembered about Frank Kern, I learned that word from my dad.
Kern?
No, membered.
Remembered.
Is here's Frank Kern's deal. Here's what I got. Here's what it'll do for you. Here's what you need to do. That is the sales cycle in a nutshell. Here's what I got. Here's what it'll do for you. Here's what you need to do. And so our whole theme, and you'll notice this as we develop these podcasts, is going to be how to refine and simplify your message. There is genius in simplicity. Genius is the ability to make the complicated simple.
Yeah.
And so when you get down to it, I always say simple and fun is better than complicated and boring. So if you can simplify somebody's life for us, they will give you money.
And that's, as we continue this podcast, we are going to talk about simplification, how to keep it simple, KISS principle, keep it super simple.
Keep it simple, sweetie.
And any other variation that you happen to know in your neighborhood.
I like that one.
Yeah. And so we're going to wrap this episode up, and we really want to thank you for being here. We want to thank you for attending and paying attention and staying on board, and give us tips, helpful hints, anything that we can do to help your business grow. And we'll see you at the next episode of A Little R&R
with RussJohns.com and
RonaldEarlWilsher.com. Thank you, folks.